Hey guys, this is Ms. Casbero. I'm showing you right here a piecewise function where you have to write the three things for that. Now, I have done a graph like this for you before. You do have steps that you are going to take. Okay? Your number one step is you are going to find your cutoff points. That is what I had told you before. It is where you have the backyard cutoffs. Okay? On this graph, what you've got is a cutoff right here. You end one graph and you start a new. So this cutoff point right here is at x equals -1. Whoops, didn't get an equals on there. X equals -1. You see how that cuts that point off right there. You leave this old graph and you start this new one. The next cutoff point is at x equals 2. And that right there is also a cutoff point. Okay, you leave this graph and you start the new one. So if you were trying to write equations for this graph, the first thing that you would start off with, this is your y-axis. You've got x equals -1 here and x equals 2, just like I had graphed. X equals -1, x equals 2. Those are your cutoff points. Down here, this is all about x is less than -1. Between here and here, x is between 2 and -1. And up here, x is greater than 2. The equals to signs that you've got under here all depend on whether or not we've got closed circles or open circles. But your first thing you've got to do is find your cutoff points. Second thing you'll do is find 2 points on the line, because you have to find the equation of the line. So you got to find 2 points. Right here we are looking at for less than 1. That's an open circle. So my domain here is going to be less than -1. That right there. I'm going to turn it into my domain by putting parentheses on it, and we'll move it out of the way. So there is my domain right there. It is showing you from this point down. I need to find the equation of this line. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to add a table. And into this table I'm going to put 2 points that I've got that make it even if I can. -1, -1. There's one. That's a nice one. -1, -1. And then another point. It's in the middle here. Let's see if I can find a decent one. I guess this would be it right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1/5, 2/5, 3/5. Yeah. So that is 1 3/5. So I've got negative 1 3/5. Well, what you want to do on that is you want to convert that 1 3/5. You want to convert that into a mixed number. Improper fraction. 1 times 5 is 5, plus 3 is 8, so you've got 8/5. So what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to put in -8/5 and 0. Okay. So you've got your 2 points in, and now you use regression, which I used already on a video. And you can use your keyboard or you can type it here. I'm going to type it here so you can see it. Y and your little tilde. So I got to move it here. It's down here, 2 over from the return sign. Whoops, forgot my 1. Y sub 1. And then your little tilde. M X sub 1 plus B. So this solves, and I've got -1 and 2/3. 0.6 repeated forever is 2/3. And -2 and 2/3. So I have -1 and 2/3 and -2 and 2/3. That means 1 times 3 is 3 plus 2 is 5, so I have -5/3. That's my M. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 2 is 8/3. Okay, and that's my B. So what I've got then is when I want to do this graph, and I want to make this graph, well, it's purple. I got it right there. Okay. That matches up with that black line perfectly well. Okay. So, let's see. X is less than -1. Okay, it won't do it on the, that's what I wanted to check. Alright, so you've got it matched up perfectly. If you want to write it for what it is, you would have your first equation. It's going to be, well, you got f of x out here, and you've got -5/3 x minus 8/3. That's when x is less than -1. Your first line is taken care of. Okay. Second line, I've got -1, 0, and 2, 3. So I'm going to just change this. There's no need. I've got it written down here. There's no need for me to do a second one. So I've got -1, 0. And then 2, 3. And we are looking now at the point where x is actually between -1 and 2. So we're looking for that area right there. That is the backyard that we're dealing with. You see how it matches up perfectly with that middle graph. So what we're looking for is what is the equation of that line so that I can put it in my piecewise function. That is the domain. It's right here pictured for you. And that's what we're going to write right here. Is that my x is between -1 and 2. And I have to figure out my equal sign. Well, at 2 there is no equal sign. -1 there is because it's closed in. So I close that in. And now I look for the equation. I've got my 2 points. Comes right here and it tells me. It matches up right here to y equals 1x plus 1. So 1x is just x. So my second line would be x plus 1. Now I look for my third. And that is now where x is greater than 2. This area out here. And because this is a closed circle, it is going to be greater than or equal to 2. So I am going to put this right here, greater than or equal to 2. And I have to find 2 points again. So let me go ahead and make that my domain so we can turn it off. And you can just see where it's talking about right here. That area out there. So 2 points I've got are 2, 0, and it looks like 3 and 3 and 1/5. Alright, so I've got 2, 0, and then 3 and 3 and 1/5. Whoops, that's not going to match. Let's go back over here and do this. 3 and 1/5. 3 times 5 is 15 plus 1 is 16/5. So that is what I should have here instead of 31. 16/5. And there you go. There's our match. Just like we wanted. So this gives me 3.2. Since it quits, you can just use that. And since that stops, you can use that. If it went on forever, that 0.6 repeating, you got to change it. But with this, you can just use your decimal. So your third equation would be 3.2x minus 6.4. Exactly what you've got here, 3.2x minus 6.4. And that right there gives you your 3 pieces of the graph using your Desmos. So I hope that helps.